Some big rig drivers are finding themselves in big trouble with the Department of Transportation, which has announced plans to revoke the accreditation of nearly 3,000 truck driving schools across the country, saying they've failed to meet federal safety and training standards. This is the latest move in a nationwide push to ensure new drivers are properly trained before getting behind the wheel. And News Nation's Alex Capriello joins us live. And Alex, you spent some time with some Indiana State troopers.
Yeah, I sure did, Nicole, and it was a lot of learning that I got along the way. As for those driving schools all across the nation, they now have 30 days to comply with these new Department of Transportation mandates, or they risk being shut down permanently. It's one of the many ways the Trump administration is going out there to try to ensure safety on our roads.
It's a 37-point checklist.
Just your registration's fine.
Each meticulously carried out by the Indiana State Police's Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division.
Release.
Their job? Protecting American drivers from the very real and very present dangers on our highways.
Unfortunately, sometimes what happens is that we see a lot of vehicles that quite often shouldn't be on the road.
Their division put center stage for partnering with the Department of Homeland Security as part of Operation Midway Blitz.
What we see in the trucking industry is somebody that's really in touch with the trucking industry, really in tune with the trucking industry. The reason why trucking is so terrible is because we have bad trucking CDL schools. These people that are getting into trucking are not learning everything the right way. They are just being able to cheat the system. The schools are just using these people for money. They're taking money from these people and not teaching them a damn thing. That's the reason why trucking is so bad. I've been in trucking for so many years. I advocate it. I do teachings. I work with CDL drivers. And the one thing I can tell you is when they leave trucking school, they still don't understand the industry. They don't understand trucking. And this is the reason why a lot of people get in and get right back out. So the USDOT announced a couple of days ago that they put 3,000 trucking schools on notice to fix their stuff, give the data and everything. If they don't, they'll be out of there. So what's been happening with the trucking schools, man? If you know anything about trucking, I'm gonna bring more awareness to trucking onto my page. Is that trucking has a lot of fraud, trucking has a lot of scandal, and it starts with the beginning. The trucking schools do not teach. They scam. You are just another number. They can range from $6,000, $7,000 all the way to $15,000 for a trucking school. And these people aren't learning anything. These trucking schools do not care if you pass. They do not care if you are able to be successful. They do not care. All they care about is your money. But we finally have a Trump administration that's coming in there saying, you know what? We see the problem in the trucking industry. It starts at the beginning, the source, the foundation. If the school's not teaching you the right thing, if they're not giving you the right courses, if they're not giving you the right information, now how are you expected to succeed? You're not. You're going to fail. You're not going to be in the point of saying, okay, I'm going to be able to succeed in trucking because I learned I have a good foundation. This is why there's so much fraud in trucking. It's because of trucking schools. You have people that are coming from different countries and they link up with the people that's the same nationality as them. And then they don't really teach them. They just take their money and then they say, here's another person that'll take the test for you. This happens a lot in trucking. This is why we got to put more of a spotlight on trucking because all of our stuff is on these trucks. Trucking is a huge industry. Billions, I think maybe trillions of dollars a year in trucking. But it's so bad and so jaded, it's because there's so much fraud. And when we have an administration that's coming in and saying, okay, cool, we're going to do something that is making this, foundation complete. According to the Federal Review published just now, about 44% of roughly 16,000 trucking training programs registered in the U.S. may be non-compliant. If many of these lose their students or accreditation, they could be forced to close, meaning a very large shutdown in training capacity. There needs to be a shutdown in training capacity. There needs to be a new requirement. There needs to be better standards. I believe that the federal government should be in charge of the training. Why have these schools? You start to see this across all industries when it has to do with schools. Colleges, universities, some tech schools, training CDL schools, all these schools are frauds. They just taking money. But in trucking is very, very, very bad. I'm trying to look up some more stuff for you guys so we could talk about it. Under the U.S. Department of Transportation, purging thousands of so-called CDL mills, meaning substandard or non-compliant commercial driving training programs. There's so many. This is the reason why you have a lot of bad drivers, because you have bad schools. How are you expected to have good drivers when you have bad schools? You know what I'm saying? This is just It's just crazy. According to the DOT and FMCSA, many schools were removed for violations including falsifying or manipulating training data, claiming hours of training that didn't happen, failing to meet required curriculum standards, proper behind the wheel training, or instructor qualification requirements. I went to a really good CDO school. It was very small. I got my CDO school and I did all my hours and we did all the training, all the on the road training. But there's some places that don't give you the hours. They just write it off. Yeah, you did your whatever hours, go take the test. And then you can take the test by my homeboy and he gonna pass you automatically. This is how the system works. This is the reason why trucking is so bad is because they're not getting proper training. Some of these classes will just have you, when I did it, I had one-on-one training. So if I had to do, I forgot how many hours I had to do, but say if I had to do 50 hours, I did the 50 hours, but all the hours I was in that truck. A lot of places that you go to, it'll be a big group and they'll say, okay, you park. Okay, after you done park, stand here, you park. So you're not even getting the experience of continuing going up and back, up and back. You just, as soon as you're done, go over there. This is why the training is so important in trucking. And this is how you prevent all these accidents is by having proper training. So this is a huge deal. And I'm glad to be talking about this more on my page because I want to, make this awareness for you guys because trucking is very vital and very important in America.
Multiple nations that were being deported. Estonia is one that I recall.
Immigration officials arresting and deporting more than 250 immigrants on Indiana highways, some without commercial driver's licenses, operating 18-wheel big rigs. But the problem is nationwide, with multi-vehicle pileups happening coast to coast, with several fatal wrecks occurring at the hands of migrants.
We shouldn't villainize immigrants as long as they're doing it legally.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy attempting to get states in line, calling on governors to inspect who they've approved CDLs to and revoke the drivers who aren't truly qualified.
They continue to drive the way that they drove in a foreign country, and they continue to maintain their vehicle the way they maintained it in a foreign country.
What's going on here?
News Nation embedded with ISP troopers and watched how thousands of commercial vehicles are monitored, logged, pulled over, and inspected. This 18-wheeler got an all clear, but this box truck was pulled over for allegedly speeding.
Well, we come to find out in the trucking industry, you start to learn more, because I'm going to start doing more and more stories about the trucking industry. There's a lot of fraud. The reason why we have illegal immigrants hopping into trucking is because it's easy for them to get into it. This is why I've always been in favor of having better guidelines or higher standards for people to get into trucking. Definitely, you should be an American citizen. Definitely, you should be able to speak English proficiently. This is why they have the English proficiency test. There's a lot of things that you can make trucking better just by changing the simple things, but also, too, like I said, these CDL mills and these trucking schools, they need to be held accountable because when you do get these people, say you're an American citizen, whatever, that's great, but you want to learn the right way. You want to be able to understand what the heck is going on, how to do this the proper way, what to look for, leaks and everything. Trucking is not just getting behind the wheel and driving. But I'm just glad we got an administration that's trying to make trucking better ever since Secretary Duffy has been in office or been in his official role as Secretary of DOT. He's doing a lot. He's doing a lot. And he's starting to see that to make trucking better, we have to start at the beginning. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. When you do subscribe, hit that notification bell. And as always, we're going to keep this thing rolling. And you already know what I'm going to say. Daily show coming soon.